Okay, so for part of our lesson today, I did a pre-test before the lesson to see where the students were with the knowledge of gratitude and what they can do to show that in our school. So the question was, how can gratitude or thankfulness help when you are facing hardship, was the first question. And then the second question, how can you be more grateful for the people around you at school, and what actions can you take to show this? So they filled that out for me, and then after we were done, they're going to fill out the back, which are the same two questions, to see any new ideas or thoughts from our lesson today. All right, so we have filled out the pre-lesson assessment, and we have answered those two questions, and maybe you knew the answers to those questions right off the bat, maybe you didn't, and that's okay. Go ahead, and if you have your computer open, just put it down and put it up in the front of your desk so that you are able to fully listen to our lesson today. Ms. Reese, put your book away, please, and put your computer. Tessa, hi. Go ahead and put your book away. We're going to start our lesson. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Hopefully our computer can too. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to read to you this book called How Many Days to America? This book is by one of my favorite authors, and you guys listened to a book by her not too long ago. Eve Bunting is the author of this book. Do you remember the book that you listened to not too long ago that was by Eve Bunting as well?
Was it the one about the airport?
It was. It was the one that Miss James read to you. And Eve Bunting is one of my favorite authors. She takes sometimes really hard topics and is able to present them to children in a way that you guys can really empathize and learn from. This book, just like that book, there are some hard things in this book. So I really want you to pay attention to one. You can pay attention to the hard things that happen in the book, but how does this family react to those hard things? Okay, that's what I really want you to focus on. What do they do? How do they respond? Okay, everybody understand what we're going to be looking for? Mm-hmm. All right. Yes, Olivia? Okay. Oh, what are we going to be focusing on, Olivia? Okay. How to be grateful, because that was kind of part of the question that you answered earlier. Yeah, good connection. Excellent. Rishi? Gratitude. Why do you think we might be focusing on that right now in the time of year that it is? Malaya?
I think we might be focusing on it because Thanksgiving was about the Indians and the Americans, or the English finding harmony together.
Oh, okay. So finding ways to come together in unity, that is actually something we are going to talk about. I'm very glad you brought that up. Yes.
Might be learning about gratitude, because Thanksgiving is about gratitude and just being thankful for what you have, and not complaining about what you don't have, because some people are less fortunate than all of us.
That is so true. All of what you just said is so true. Being thankful for what we do have, having gratitude for what we have been given, not being complainers. You may know someone in your life who is kind of a complainer. You might. Hopefully you don't, but maybe you do. And those people are really not fun to be around, right? So learning how to be a grateful person, somebody who is positive and always looking for what they are thankful for, is such an important characteristic. And as you grow older, it becomes even more important, because as you get older, I don't know if you guys know this, things do get a little bit harder because there's more responsibility. So having that attitude of gratefulness and thankfulness is such a great habit to start now when you're younger. Okay? Yes, Tessa, what do you want to say?
So basically, when I was said gratitude about that, I thought, so there was maybe like gratitude because Thanksgiving is not about complaining, like Arvin said. It's about being thankful for what you have, and that and that you're thankful for what you do have and what you might get, because just because you might not have what you want doesn't mean that you might not be able to get it in the future.
Oh, that's a good way of putting that. Yeah, you could always work hard to get something you do want in the future, right? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on and read you the story. You're going to focus on how this family responds to the hard things that happen in their life. And then we're going to have a discussion about it afterward. And then we're going to take an action on how we can show gratitude right now, today. Okay? Okay, well, think about that. Olivia said that the people on the front cover have darker skin, so that could be something that's challenging. Think about that as we're reading. See if you can figure out maybe what culture these people come from, and what's happening. How many days to America? So are they in America yet?
No.
No, they are not in America yet. So also keep that in mind. By Eve Bunting, one of my favorites.
I'm guessing they might be sailing to America so they have more freedoms.
That could be. We'll see what you think as we're reading. Keep all of those thoughts in your mind, and then let's share them after we're done. It was nice in our village till the night in October when the soldiers came. My mother hid my little sister in the under the bed. When I peered out, I could see my mother's feet in their black slippers and the great muddy boots of the soldiers. When they were gone, my father said, "We must leave right now." Why, I asked. "Because we do not think the way that they think, my son." Hurry. He would not let us take anything but a change of clothes. My mother cried, "Leave all of my things, my chair where I sat to nurse our children, the bed cover that my mother made, every stitch by hand." "Nothing," my father said, "just money to buy our way to America." And leave everything. Think about leaving all of your things, everything that's precious to you. The word America was not new to me. I had heard it whispered between my parents in the restless hours of the night. America. We were going there? Others too moved silently along the secret streets. So if there were secret streets, that means that they were hiding. Sneaking. Good. Boats bobbed in the dark water off of the quay, and men talked behind their hands while gold was passed from one pocket to another. "I must have your wedding ring," my father told my mother, "and your garnet." My mother took the ring from her finger and the garnet necklace from its little bag, buried deep in her bundle. She did not speak. My father said that we would leave while it was dark. "How many days to America?" my little sister asked. "Not many," my father said. "Don't be afraid." I love that you're thinking about what we're reading. The fishing boat was small and there were so many people. More kept coming and more. We chugged heavily from harbor to the open ocean. "Can we see America yet, Papa?" All the time, my little sister asks questions. "Not yet," my father says. We were an hour from the shore when the motor stopped. The men crowded the engine. "A part is broken that cannot be fixed," my father told my mother, and her face twisted the way it did when she closed the door of our home for the last time. The women made a sail by knotting clothing together, and when they pulled it high, I saw my father's Sunday shirt blowing in the wind. But the sail carried us back toward our shore, and men shot at us from the cliffs. At last, we got the boat in the right direction. "How many days to America now?" my little sister asked. "More, my small one," my father said, and he held us close. I saw him look at my mother across our heads. Day followed night, and night day. Our food and water ran out as many people were sick. At sunset, my father, mother, and sister and I huddled in the bow. My father sang as he did at home. Sleep and dream, tomorrow comes, and we shall be free. That was the only time I was not afraid.
I can see that there are like providers everywhere here. And besides that family.
Their clothing maybe.
It's just like, I guess like.
Oh, I love this page. By day we fished, and we shared the catch. They shared with each other. I love that. When it rained, we caught the water in our buckets. I slept and dreamed of home, of food, of my favorite uncle who worked with my father in his shop and who stayed behind. Sometimes I cried, and then my mother would rock me against her. Once we saw a whale, gray as an elephant covered with barnacles. Come push us, whale, my mother called. Push us to America. But the whale did not hear. What are barnacles? Barnacles are things that they attach to living things in the ocean. We can look it up later.
Are they bad things?
Okay. I know you guys have so many thoughts. This is such a good book. Once a boat came, roaring close on wings of foam, and we were filled with joy, but not for long. Thieves! Fear moved like bad winds between us. Men scrambled from the other boat to ours, waving their guns, shouting for money and jewels. There was little to take, but what we had went with them. Once there was a shout of land, and we crowded the railing. But though we pulled on the sail of our boat, it wouldn't go closer. We will swim for help, my father said, and he and two others jumped into the water. No, my mother cried, but they were gone already. When at last we saw them rise on the green roll of the surf, we saw them carried to shore. We danced and cheered, but there were soldiers on the rocks. Everyone was quiet, and my mother gripped my hand. They are bringing them back, she whispered. 3 soldiers with rifles came too in the small boat. They brought us water and fruit, but they did not speak or smile as they tossed it up to our waiting hands. Was it not the right land, Papa? I asked as the soldiers pulled away. Will it not do? It would do, but they will not take us, my father said. My sister tugged on his arm. They don't like us? It's not that, but he didn't explain. Our family got 2 papayas and 3 lemons and a coconut with milk that tasted like flowers. The sea was rough that night, and my father's song lost itself in the wind. I said the words as the stars dipped and turned above our heads. Tomorrow comes, and there we shall be free. It was the next day, the tomorrow that we sighted land again. I was afraid to hope. A boat came. My mother clasped her hands and bit her head. Was she afraid to hope too? The boat circled us twice and then a line was thrown, and we were pulled toward the shore. There was such a silence among us men, such an anxious, watchful silence. People waited on the dock. Welcome, they called. Welcome to America. That was when our silence turned to cheers. But how did they know we would come today, my father asked. Perhaps people come every day, my mother said. Perhaps they understand how it is for us. There was a shed, warm from the sun on the tin roof. There were tables covered with food. Though the benches were crowded, there was room for all of us. Do you know what day this is? A woman asked me. She passed me a dinner plate. It's the day we came to America day, I said. She smiled. Yes, and it is a special day for another reason too. Today is Thanksgiving. What is that? My little sister was shy, but not too shy to ask her question. Long ago, unhappy people came here to start new lives, the woman said. They celebrated by giving thanks. My father nodded. That is the only true way to celebrate. We joined hands and closed our eyes while my father gave thanks that we were free and safe in here. Can we stay, Papa? My little sister asked. Yes, small one, my father said. We can stay. Isn't that a great book?
I love it.
I love it too. Okay, so let's talk about what you guys picked out of the book. So how did they face hardship in the book? There was a lot of hardship, right? It's not an easy thing that they went through.
What does hard?
Mason B.
They have to be very resourceful.
Ooh, they were resourceful, right? Tell me about that.
So when one of the horse broke, they had to make a new sail to keep them towards the north.
And they used what?
New shirt.
They used the clothing that they had with them, right? They
They were persistent.
were persistent.
Despite all the challenges they faced, they still kept going.
They never gave up. Good. Even though they faced a lot of challenges. Olivia?
So when you said like this is my favorite drink and like I was wishing for this and this, I don't think he was saying like I think he was grateful that he was like grateful, but I also think he was trying to be like not needy, but like he had to wishing for stuff because I wish I could do my own home and stuff like that. Because he was kind of like I mean he was grateful sometimes, but like at that time he was kind of like getting sick of it and like kind of just wanted to be there.
Okay, so let's go back to that thing.
He's like getting impatient with it.
Okay, and that's totally normal, right? They're stuck on this boat. It's totally, completely human to get frustrated, impatient, worried, anxious. All of those things are normal feelings that we have. So, that wasn't why. You are so right. I didn't pick up on that. So that was really good. I dreamed of home. You're saying he was dreaming of these things. Now, do you think that helped the character?
I mean, it kind of, well, the whale did. They kind of felt hope about the whale. But, I think, like, when he started dreaming of it, he started, maybe getting more hopeful because they were actually dreaming it.
Okay.
Maybe it did help us with the whale, but actually,
Okay.
because he might have been like, well, if he was dreaming of it, maybe he could hear something, keep dreaming it.
Okay. So he was dreaming of his home. Like he was dreaming of the good things that was in his life behind. So I think you're right. I think it could have helped him and it could have not helped him at the same time. I totally agree with you. But dreaming and thinking on positive things definitely does help. All of the things that he was dreaming about were positive. So maybe that did help him, but he did start crying. And it said, sometimes I cried. When I cried, do you remember what his mom would do? Okay, so he would have his mother. Yeah, and I did notice that. I love how we all notice different things. But what I loved about this book, I'm going to read it to you again. By day we fished and we shared the catch. That is one of my favorite parts. They weren't being selfish. What were they doing? People they didn't even know, probably. What do you think, Ella?
They were being unselfish and sharing
Yeah, sharing. They were a little community. They were a little on this boat. They were all had the same goal. A community of people or a group of people with the same goal is very important. Okay? So they all had the same goal. They all helped each other meet that goal. Right? Kind of like our classroom, exactly. That's one of the things I wanted to talk to you guys through this book. These people were there helping each other, sharing with one another, constantly trying to lift each other up to get to America, to get to the same goal. That's a beautiful thing. This sounds horrible, were they trying to like make sure that they were the only ones who survived and the only ones who made it? No, that would be selfish and wrong. That's not what they were doing. They weren't just caring about themselves. They put their own selfish desires aside for the betterment of the whole community. Well, and at the same time, it does help because when you help other people, what does that do for you?
It helps you.
You feel what?
You feel good, and it also helps you.
You feel better. You feel thankful. You feel good that you did something positive.
I think they're also hopeful because they were hoping that they would reach America, and when they saw land, they went over there to see help, and there was help, and so they were hopeful that was America, but it was.
Or it wasn't the right place that they could get on. There are soldiers there that wouldn't allow them to come to America. And that is the truth. There are places where you're allowed to go, and there are places where you're not. Because of the borders of America and when they allow people in. That's the truth.
I think they might have been from India or Afghanistan.
I don't think so. I have a suspicion of where they're from. Sure.
I have another.
Sure.
They were very humble because they had to give up everything they owned and everything they
No, they're forced to. No, they weren't.
They
Yes,
chose
they
to. They chose to.
because if they brought everything they wanted to, they would probably not.
I think you're exactly right. They are humble for so many reasons. Yes, they gave up everything. They gave up everything because why? It said at the beginning of the book. Why did they leave? Do you remember? Avery?
Because they didn't think the same way, like they didn't believe the same things as the other, or as like the people who
The
like,
government.
still
You
live.
could say
Yeah,
the
the
government. The soldiers, which is part of the government. They did not believe the same thing that the government believed. They could not align their beliefs with where they lived. So they chose to take their family and go somewhere else. Yes.
Try to guess where they lived. I'm pretty sure they lived somewhere in South America, maybe like Virginia.
You're getting closer.
I think they were Jews.
No, they're not Jews.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Good connection.
That's what I
Good connection. Okay, so this is not the only time that you can think of that people have risked everything for freedom. This is not the only time that you're making that connection. Yes. And this does actually still happen today.
I thought maybe they were Jews and then they were trying to get away from the Nazis.
I don't think so. I have a suspicion.
I have to. So first of all, they shared food and stayed.
You're fine. You can
And
share.
also the second thing, I noticed that at the beginning of the book,
You okay?
that she was kind of, that the mom was kind of being like a little bit complaining because she was like reading something that
Or things for special things.
and but dad
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think she was complaining though. I think what she was doing was grieving. So there's definitely a difference. She was grieving the loss of her family, her friends, everything she knew, all of her precious items. Yes, and they are just things, but she had meaning attached to them. So yes, so the value to her that was probably different than her husband. So I think it was a grieving process because when you do leave things behind and have to start over or start a new life, there is a grieving process that takes place. So we have to give her a little bit of grace. Yeah, I think it would be very, like my wedding photos, that would be hard for me to leave behind. Or, I mean, things that wouldn't mean anything to anybody else, but they mean something to me. Or like, Asher has this little blanket that he loves. Like, that would be hard for me to leave behind. No one cares about his blanket, but I do. So it has value to me. Aaliyah, I haven't called on you. What do you want to say, bud?
I think I know what it is.
Oh,
Maybe like Central America or the Bahamas.
okay. Oh, wait.
They might be from what time? Like what time was this?
When did this take place?
Yeah.
It doesn't say. I think that the author specifically doesn't tell us, and I wonder if it's because this has happened from many different cultures, many different places. So I wonder if she made it more vague so that more people could relate to it. I'm just wondering. I'm not sure.
I have two things. The first thing, I think I know where they're from. I think they're from Brazil.
Okay.
And when it talks about sharing their food, the people that caught the food were putting themselves in other people's shoes. Like if one person caught a fish and they didn't share with anybody else, they would feel bad for that. They would be starving, but they were putting themselves in other people's shoes and saying, well, if I would not like someone doing that to me, so I'm gonna do that to them. So I'm not gonna do that to them.
What that's called? There's a word for that.
I know what the word is, but I forgot what it was.
But yes, you are putting others first. Yes, but she said putting yourself in somebody else's shoes. There's a word for that. You know what it's called?
Visualizing?
No. Well, hold on. Let me tell you this first. It's called empathy.
Oh yeah.
Empathy.
Oh,
And if you can empathize with other people, if you can do that.
They're thinking, well, I wouldn't like someone to do that to me, so I'm not going to do that to them, and I'm going to share my food with them. That way, if they catch something, they'll be able to share it with me, because I've done something good for them, so maybe they'll do something good for me.
We'll take care of one another, right? Do you think that they would have made it to America without the community that they had, without the support that they had?
No.
I don't know. I'm not sure because
Maybe one of them wasn't as good as fishing as another,
And
and then they might not have. And then if they were just by themselves and they had no food, no water, they probably couldn't survive because they didn't have the fishing knowledge as them.
they use each other's strengths, right? That's what you do in a community. You find the strength that you find where you can be useful. Josiah?
Mine was sympathy.
Okay, tell me about that.
Like some people were getting sick, like they helped them, I guess. And like some people were sad, like he was crying. I guess they were sad for him.
Okay. Maybe he was crying for them. Maybe he was crying for the life that he left, or the frustration of being stuck on this boat. All of those things. Maybe all of it. You can feel so many different emotions. You can at one time.
Okay, so I have a connection from a running out of time book.
Ooh, awesome.
And they have leave all the stuff that's similar to what happened when they ripped Pelican, because they couldn't go to any other stuff that they had earlier because it wasn't fit for the
Okay, that's a great connection. So, and she is trying to do what for her community? Jessie is doing what for her community?
Helping them,
Yes.
not, like, empathy.
Yes, she is risking everything that she has, literally risking her life to help the children in her community. Good connection. Okay, what we're gonna do now, guys, we could go on for so long and talk about these things, but what I'm going to do is I am going to give you the opportunity to write them down in just a moment, because you have the opportunity in your post paper. How can gratitude or thankfulness help you when you're facing hardship? You should know now. Oh, we forgot to talk about one thing. What was one thing that the dad did to help his children? And it was like the only thing that made them feel safe. Do you remember in the book? This is a big thing. I cannot believe I forgot. Mason, no?
What are you saying?
He's saying to them. He's saying to them to comfort them. And we've talked about how songs and music can really help when you're facing something hard or you're struggling emotionally. That can actually really lift your spirits. Did it help the kids?
Yeah.
How do you know that it helped the kids?
Because it says it in the book
Oh,
that it,
I would love it if you raised your hand and let me call that. Thanks. Rishi.
I have another.
Oh, okay, hold on. Malaya, how did it help them?
Because in the book it said that it said that that was the only time they really felt safe.
Yep, they felt safe. So you know that him singing to them helped them get through what they were facing. Okay, Rishi, you have something else to say.
I also think that the dads were brave because without any hesitation they jumped into the water and risked their own lives to get to the island. And they could have drowned or been killed, but they put the others' safety first.
Yes, the dad's bravery. Absolutely. The dads were very brave. Well, it's brave to leave your country for another country. All of that takes bravery. Oh my goodness. I feel like we will never get through this. Okay, if you have your hand up right now, I will call on you. We're gonna move on after that. Okay? Yes, go.
I think the dads were protective because when the third one, the soldier came, he shut the door and told them to get under the bed.
Yes, and actually it wasn't the dad.
It was the mother.
Yes, which is, you know, your mom's and your dad's. Both very protective of you. Yes. Oh, that's a C.
Yeah.
That is a C, bud. I'm sorry. But that did look like an E, didn't it? Okay. All right, Avery.
I have a question about the post lesson.
Oh, hold on. We're not quite there yet. Yes, Mason.
I think they were from Germany.
Okay, that is a good guess. I don't think it's right, but it's a good guess.
I made two connections.
Ooh, I love connections.
So, my first connection was from our book Stowaway because, when it talked about sharing, it reminded me that they shared the food so that way they could survive. The Indians shared the food with the people on the Endeavor, and they were able to survive.
They did, and they also bartered and traded, right?
Yeah. And I also made a connection to one of Miss Garrett's posters in her room. It was a bad attitude. It was like a flat tire. You can't go anywhere until you change it. It's kind of like because they were like, he was kind of showing like a bad attitude because he was like, I really want to get to this place right now. And he got somewhere when he stopped complaining. He actually got
My battery must be running low. Okay, so because my battery is running low, guys, and I want to make sure that we get this, our wrap-up activity is going to be, we decided as a classroom to make a thankful chain that we're going to hopefully get the rest of our wing on board with. So I want you to write one thing that you are grateful for, and It can be whatever you want to write. It has to be very serious. And then you will put these together. Go ahead and pass it back. And then after that, I want you to go ahead and fill out your post-assessment. And we will see how much you learned from the lesson that we had today.
I'm grateful. Elliot, just give it to her.
Any questions?
I'm grateful for a mom. I'm grateful for time.
Oh no.
Okay, so go ahead and fill that out now. And then Avery had a question about our post-assessment. Like, no, you can't. That's fine. That's serious.
My family.
Avery, what's your question about the post-assessment?
Okay, so if we have like connections, which like section would that go in?
Whichever one you think is appropriate.
Well, I didn't know though.
Do it, honey. Honestly, there's no wrong answer. You're not getting graded on it. There's no wrong answer. Put it where you feel it should go. Okay?
And are we supposed to like put a dash and then our name, like our last name?
On your grateful sheet? No, you don't even have to put your name. You don't have to put your name on it. But we are going to connect these together. I'm going to go get some tape and I'm going to start connecting them now. Yes. Write it big enough so people can read it. Please, that'd be great. I think they're from Cuba. All right, let's keep it quiet as we're working, boys and girls. Oh, that's a great idea. You can write over, after you write it in pencil, you can write over it in marker or Sharpie. That's totally fine. As soon as you're done, I'm going to start connecting these, and I'll let you guys connect them, actually.
I read this book before, so I'm already gonna answer the same answer. Like, it's how you make it
Mexico doesn't have water machine yet. All right, anyone else finished? Okay, so how we do this is we put them through like this, because I will let you guys do this on your own.
Wait, we can't actually read it then. We're not going to be able to read this. Yeah. Yeah, we can't.
Well, it's how it goes.
Dude, we also did something. We did something like this over. When we
All right, so as soon as
we did like day 1, day 2 for like how many days we were all in quarantine.
oh yeah,
Like we did day 1 and then like what we did.
well that's a smart idea. Okay, so as soon as you're done, you can come up and you can. I'll leave the tape right here, and you can connect yours to the chain, and we'll start hanging these up, so that people can see them, and then we can continue to add to them. All right, so who can raise their hand and tell me one thing that they learned today? Malaya.
That people from other countries come to America for their freedom.
Awesome, I love that. Let's do 2 more. Anyone else want to tell me something? Pharaoh.
I learned that. It can be a lot worse.
Okay, so what Pharaoh said is that maybe we need to be a little bit more positive because we do have it really good here in America. We do. It's the truth. Tessa?
I kind of already did
You guys,
this,
how even wrong?
Quiet, please.
but I learned that be thankful for what you have and don't complain what you don't have.
Awesome. Nice. All right. Excellent job, guys. Thank you so much.